Hello and welcome to this ManageEngine Endpoint Management and Security Solutions webinar. Today on the topic Windows 10 Migration. Let me begin by introducing myself. My name is Nisha Balaji. I am a product specialist associated with ManageEngine, and today I'll be your presenter. As you all know, today's webinar is all about Windows 10, the complete cause and effects of this Windows 10 migration. So this is the agenda that I have planned for today. As you can see, first we'll analyze the complete cause for the Windows 10 migration, the need. We'll also discuss the action that we take to secure our network endpoint devices. We'll also discuss the after effects of this migration process. Now, during the course of this webinar, in case you have any queries, feel free to post them on chat. We have expert panel members waiting to answer all your doubts. So with this, let us start off with the very first thing. Why is there a pressing need, a sudden rush to migrate all your Windows devices to Windows 10 operating system? Well, the first and foremost answer that I'm sure all of us are aware of, it is Windows 7 end of life. We all know for a fact that Microsoft has ended support for Windows 7 as of 14 January 2020. After this date, Microsoft will no longer provide any security updates or patches, feature updates or enhancements, or even technical support for any of our issues. Now, this is the major source of concern because, according to the data taken at the end of 2019, as many as 27% of the global devices were still present in Windows 7 platform. Well, you can still retain Windows 7 devices if you want to do so, but then you will have to opt for the extended security updates provided by Microsoft for the next 3 years. So before we proceed further, let me ask you all a quick question. Do you still have computers in your network running on Windows 7 platform? It may not be your critical server machines, but have you completely secured your network free of Windows 7? Let us find out in this poll that is shown on your screen. I'll wait for a few more moments. Well, according to this poll, about 70% of you say you are still maintaining Windows 7 computers in your network. Unsurprisingly, we have sufficient reasons to believe that most of us are still reluctant to let go of this decade-old OS. Let me show you the net market share data that is taken at the end of 2020 January. So from this, it is clearly visible that still 25.56% of the devices are still in Windows 7 platform, and close to 5% of the global devices are still running on other legacy operating systems. So all these 30% of the devices, are they completely safe? Won't they face any issues? Well, let us see about them. For that, let me ask you a question here. Do you recognize these applications? I'm sure most of you will be having more than one of these applications in your network. But how many of you know that Microsoft, in some cases, has already ended support for these applications? Now, this is the end of life date given for these applications, 14 January 2020 and 13 October 2020. What does this tell us about Microsoft? The broader picture of Microsoft is that it constantly keeps us updating, not just our operating system, but also all our major business applications. The latest application versions of Microsoft are designed to support only Windows 10 and future updates. This is the next biggest pressing need, to migrate all your devices to Windows 10. It is to avoid all these compatibility issues present. So first, let us take a look at the software compatibility issues. Microsoft has announced that its major business application, Office 2019, will not support Windows 7. It will support only Windows 10 and its future updates. We also have Office 2013 and Office 2016, which has stopped its support of Windows 7 as on 14 January 2020. Office 365 here will continue to support Windows 7, but this will happen only if you have opted for the extended security updates. We have other applications which are not going to be supported in Windows 10, such as Windows Media Center. Now, certain applications are completely replaced by newer applications in Windows 10. Microsoft Security Essentials and Windows Analytics are replaced by Desktop Analytics and Windows Defender in Windows 10 platform. We all know Microsoft's most popular web browser, Internet Explorer, is being replaced by Microsoft Edge as the default web browser in Windows 10. So not just these software compatibility issues, hardware companies too have begun to remove the support of Windows 7 platform, which leads to the rise in hardware compatibility issues. Both Intel and AMD 7th Gen processors do not support any old version of Windows. They only support Windows 10 and future updates. This is because both the processors do not support the drivers of Windows 7, 8 or 8.1. Now, with this being said, here is another reason that is really concerning and requires immediate attention, and the pressing need for Windows 10 migration. And this is Windows 7 targeted malware. Trapex Security, a global leader in cyber decryption technology, has identified a new malware campaign which specifically targets IoT devices using Windows 7 at various global manufacturing sites. Another one is the WAV files. These have been blamed for infecting Windows 7 machines with crypto mining malware at a medical tech vendor. It has infected over 50% of the computers in the network, causing them to be freezed and rebooted. There's another bug of unknown origins. This has been hitting Windows 7 computers. The users have been reporting that they are receiving a pop-up message that reads, "You do not have permission to shut down this computer," when every time they attempt to shut down or reboot their systems. So we have discussed three major causes for Windows 10 migration: Windows 7 end of life, hardware and software compatibility issues, and Windows 7 targeted malware. But in reality, there is one more reason, and this reason is overshadowed by the Windows 7 end of life. This reason is the single OS concept of Microsoft. One of Windows 10's most notable feature is its support for universal apps. Universal apps can be designed to run across multiple Microsoft product families with nearly identical code, including desktops, laptops, tablets, smartphones, and even embedded systems. Now, this support was not available in Windows 7. The future of Microsoft will lead to one single operating system for all the endpoint devices. So with this being in your mind, let me ask you another quick question. Do you still want to retain computers in your Windows 7 platform? Please answer the poll shown on your screen. I'll wait for a few moments. Well, with 90% of you agreeing with me to migrate your devices to Windows 10, let us now take a look at the Microsoft's prized OS. We'll start off with the features offered in Windows 10 and what makes it Microsoft's best OS till date. First is the Windows Defender antivirus, which provides real-time protection against software threats across email, app, the cloud, and the web. It is integrated with Windows Defender Offline, a bootable standalone anti-malware program. Next, we have Trusted Boot. Trusted Boot protects your computer from malware from the moment you power on your computer until your anti-malware starts. Trusted Boot can prove the system's integrity to your infrastructure in a way that the malware cannot disguise. In addition to these, we have Device Guard and Credential Guard, which are designed to harden your computers against malware. Windows consistently improves data protection by improving its existing options, more profoundly in the BitLocker encryption. We also have Windows Hello, which helps you log on to your Windows devices with sign in by face and fingerprint recognition. And how can we forget Microsoft's digital assistant Cortana, which will always be at your fingertips, ready to help you find anything on your Windows 10 device. So with all these features and updates provided in Windows 10, let us take a quick look on how to deploy this particular operating system as specified by Microsoft. Before you even initiate a deployment process, ensure that these hardware requirements, which are specified by Microsoft, are met. Now, this will give you a guarantee that you will not have any hassles in the hardware requirements while migrating your operating system. Microsoft has provided 3 possible deployment methods. Let us take a quick look into each of them. The first is traditional OS deployment method. This method is used in case of new or bare metal deployment, computer refresh, or computer replacement. The next method is dynamic deployment or dynamic provisioning. The goal of dynamic provisioning is quite simple. Take a new computer out of the box and turn it on and transform it into a completely productive organization device. All of this with minimal time and effort. So this can be done through Windows 10 subscription activation or by simply packaging the OS as an application. The last method given by Microsoft is modern deployment method. One can deploy Windows 10 and perform an in-place upgrade, which automatically preserves all data, settings, applications, and drivers from a single existing operating system version. These are the basic deployment methods given by Microsoft. In our previous webinar, I would have shown in detail on how to migrate from Windows 7 to Windows 10. In case you have missed it, you can check the recorded session from the below mentioned URL. So before we proceed further, let me take a moment again to ask you all another quick question. Since I'm positive that you all would have at least a few machines in Windows 10 platform, let me ask you this. Are you all completely satisfied with Windows 10? Please answer the poll shown on your screen. With the poll results being very divided, with about 56% of you saying you are completely satisfied. So what causes this great division in the poll? Let us discuss the after effects that you will have to face post the deployment of Windows 10. Now, these are the list of issues that can be prevented by following a few best practices mentioned in the previous webinar. If neglected, one of the critical issues that you will face is the loss of user data. During an uncovered or untested migration process, the end user data may be lost or worse, exposed outside the network, which can lead to disastrous consequences. You may have a ransomware right around the corner of your enterprise. Then comes compatibility issues. As we have seen earlier, there are certain hardware and software which are not going to be compatible with Windows 10. If not tested before deployment, these may cause issues which can affect your enterprise productivity. There is one other complaint more often raised by every Windows 10 user. This is the constant Windows 10 upgrade, which is more often forced. Now, this upgrade, if at all it happens during your business critical hours, this may affect your enterprise productivity. And lastly, how can we forget the malware? Every OS has its own set of customized malware targeting its end users. Now, these are some of the issues that are faced by every enterprise system administrators. While some of these issues are faced post-deployment, there are other drawbacks of using Windows 10. Yes, as discussed earlier, the first issue lies with its compatibility boundaries. You cannot run your favorite Windows Media Center on a Windows 10 device. We also discussed about the constant forced upgrade of Windows 10. Another major concern voiced out online is the privacy issues. They say, by default, Windows 10 gives itself the right to pass your data to Microsoft servers and profile your Windows usage. Some of the other issues is that Windows 10 has a lot of built-in advertising and also a great number of applications running in the background. One has to learn how to overcome all of these setbacks for a smooth functioning of the enterprise network. So right now, while anything and everything right now is about Windows 10, let us take a moment to go a little in depth about Microsoft operating systems. Right from its first OS in 1985, it has evolved till date to the latest operating system, Windows 10, which was released in 2015. While many do believe that Microsoft will release the next operating system, be it Windows 11 or Windows 12, with more updated features and enhancements. But as of now, Microsoft has not announced any plans for a new OS. The updates and enhancements are released in the version updates of Windows 10 released twice every year. So, to manage this ever-evolving operating system, you will have to upgrade your management tools as well. We all started managing our computers with Client Management Tools, CMT. Strong and sturdy, it gave IT visibility and control into organizations' servers and operating systems. It also enabled the detection of vulnerabilities. Then came the next big change for enterprise management, which is endpoint mobility management, which focused on maximizing security and productivity simultaneously. It quickly rose in ranks by enabling applications and content for users and also supported BYOD devices. The combination of these two capabilities gave rise to a new term. Any guesses what it is? It is UEM, Unified Endpoint Management, which refers to a new class of tools that can act as a single management interface for mobile, desktops, laptops, and other devices. It combines the management of multiple endpoint types in a single console. So, unified endpoint management and security solution, UEMS, or you can also say unfailing, efficient, meritorious, and simple. Well, once its solution exists, are you all ready for it? This, of course, is ManageEngine's Desktop Central, a complete UEM tool. ManageEngine's Desktop Central is a unified endpoint management and security solution which has all the endpoint management capabilities, right from deploying your operating system to performing day-to-day management activities, be it deploying a patch or a software, getting the complete asset details, and performing a remote control for troubleshooting. With mobile device management capabilities like device management, app management, security management, and content management. Along with these, we have modern management capabilities like geo-tracking, corporate and complete wipe, and putting the device in kiosk mode. Now, if at all you want these features available as a standalone product, we offer those too under ManageEngine's EMS suite. So since I said meritorious, this data ought to give you a fair idea of the trust and credibility of ManageEngine in the UEM ladder. Being recognized for both CMT and EMM tools, now ManageEngine is also recognized in the Gartner Magic Quadrant for Unified Endpoint Management Tools for 2 consecutive years. We are also recognized in the 2019 Forrester Wave for Unified Endpoint Management and in IDC MarketScape for Worldwide Unified Endpoint Management Software. Along with these, we are recognized in G2 Crowd and Cyber Defense Magazine as a leader in unified endpoint management. So before we proceed further into the webinar, let me ask you all another quick question. Have you performed the Windows 10 migration using Desktop Central? Please answer the poll shown on your screen. I see some of our customers too being part of this webinar. Well, happy to see that about 40% of you have performed the migration using Desktop Central. As for the rest of the audience, let me show a quick demo on how to migrate your OS in the most simplest method using Desktop Central. For this, let me take you all to the product console. This is a product. So in case you want to perform a traditional deployment method or a modern deployment method as specified by Microsoft, you have to perform an OS image and deploy it to your target computers. So for that, click on OS deployment. Click on create image. Now here, choose a computer from which you want to fetch the partition details. Provide the credentials of that particular computer. Select the partitions that you want to image and also provide the partition details, the compression level, the memory usage level. Once all these details are customized, you can click on create image. Since I've already created an image, let me show you. So here I have Windows 10 professional image. I have my compression level, the memory usage, the average speed, and all my partition level details in this image. So my first step now is over. My second step is customizing this image for deployment. For that, click on Customize Deployment and create a template. Provide a name for your template. Associate this template with an image. Now you can select the partitions that you want to deploy. You can provide the disk adjustment settings and also specify the hard disk number. Along with this, you can perform a number of post-deployment activities. You can restart the computer or shut down the computer, provide the computer name, domain details, and add the user accounts. In addition to these, you have one other feature. When you want to deploy the image along with multiple business critical applications, you can choose to do so. Now, when you add the applications here, these applications will automatically be installed in your target computers along with the OS image. So once you've created or customized the image for deployment, your third step here is to create a bootable media for your deployment. You can create either a PXE, USB, or an ISO file. The last and final step that remains now is deploying this image. Click on Deploy Image and add a deployment task. Now I have the template created here. This is my complete template details. And now select your particular remote office. The next step is providing details to initiate the deployment. You can either initiate and authenticate using the passcode here or by using the MAC address of your target computers. Now the last step again is providing the deployment settings. Say you want to deploy the image to multiple computers simultaneously, that too under bandwidth restrictions. In that case, you can choose multicast deployment mode. If at all you want to deploy the image one by one to a few customized computers, you can choose unicast deployment mode. Now schedule the deployment, most preferably during your non-productive hours, and click on Save. Now once this is deployed, you can check the deployment status here. So the complete details will be obtained. Now this is your imaging and deployment process. Say you want to go for the dynamic provisioning method, wherein you simply want to upgrade your OS. You can choose to do so using Desktop Central. Click on Software Deployment tab and create a package for your Windows 10 operating system. Since I've already created the package, I'm just going to show you the process. Select the package, choose Install Software, and go for the computer configuration. Provide an appropriate name for your configuration and customize it. You can provide the scheduler settings. You can select your own deployment policy and choose your target computers. Say I want it for all my local offices. Once this is completely customized, you can simply click on Deploy. And now your OS will be upgraded in your target computers. With these simple steps, you can migrate to Windows 10 using Desktop Central. Now let us move on to a few questions. I'm sure these are the questions that you're waiting to ask me or the panelists. As we saw a number of post-deployment and other issues present in Windows 10. Let me provide solutions on how to overcome these issues. Let us look at them one by one. So, here's the first question. How to check for hardware and software compatibility issues? So for this, we already know the list of hardware and software which are not going to be compatible with Windows 10. If at all you have the complete asset details of all the computers in your network, checking for the compatibility will be a quite easy task. Now this is where Desktop Central comes to help you out. In Desktop Central, under the Inventory tab, you have a simple dashboard view which will list you the computers based on their operating systems. Say I have 3 computers still in Windows 7. Now this will give me all the computers by their computer name. When I select a particular computer name, I can see the complete asset details of this particular computer. The OS summary, the hardware and software details, completely present. So by checking on this, you can even export these details as a PDF. Having this data in hand, you can easily check if this particular application is going to be incompatible with Windows 10. If at all you find so, you can upgrade it before your OS deployment, or you can install the upgraded application along with the image deployment as shown before. So let us move on to the next question. How to secure user data during Windows 10 migration? Well, if you are performing a dynamic provisioning method, which is in this case, if you are going to deploy the OS as an application, there your user data will be unaffected. If at all you're going for the imaging and deployment process, we have an option to back up your complete user profile. So here we have the option, the user profile backup. As you can see in this image, the profile backup creation is in process with all the user details being present. So when you deploy the particular image, you can deploy this complete user details of the target computer. So your user data is completely secure and will not be lost. There's another question here. So how to detect and deploy missing driver details? Now your driver details comes into play when you have different hardware-based computers. Say you have Dell machines, HP, Toshiba and Lenovo machines all present in your computer. If you can perform image from one computer and deploy it to all the target computer, this is going to be quite a simple task. This is called hardware independent imaging, and we in Desktop Central support this feature. So this is what happens in Desktop Central. When a computer is imaged, say my Dell machine is going to be imaged. The image details of this computer is automatically stored in the image repository. Along with this, all the driver details is automatically obtained and stored in the driver repository. You can also manually add drivers to this driver repository. So now, when you deploy this image, your image will automatically be sent to your different computers, and all the missing drivers will be obtained from this driver repository and be automatically deployed. So in our product, under OS deployment, we have the image repository where your image is stored after being created, and the driver repository. So you can add multiple driver details here. So it's time for another quick question. Are you aware of the force update of Bing search in Chrome and Office 365? Do answer the poll shown on your screen. Well, let me end this poll now with 86% of you saying you are yet unaware of this issue. Let me clarify it for all of you. Starting with version 2002 of Office 365 Pro Plus, an extension for Microsoft Search in Bing will be installed that makes Bing the default search engine for Google Chrome. This extension will be installed with new installations of Office 365 Pro Plus, or when existing installations of Office 365 Pro Plus are updated. But don't panic. Now, following the feedback, Microsoft has announced that this extension will not be automatically deployed right now. The company will provide an updated timeline for this rollout in the next few weeks. So in case your computer has already obtained this extension or you want to prevent this extension from being installed, Desktop Central will help you there. In the product console, go to the Configurations tab. Under Script Repository, go for Templates. Now here you have the category added, which is Office 365 Bing extension. So here we have two scripts. This script is to prevent Bing extension from being installed, and this script is to remove the Bing extension if at all it is being installed. Now you can simply add these scripts to your repository and deploy these scripts as the configuration to all your Windows 10 computers. In this way, you can prevent this Bing extension from being installed. So let us go back to another question that we have. How to deploy the latest security patches that are released. So for this, you can go for the patch management view. Here, under patches, you have missing patches. You can choose a filter and choose the release date. Say I want to view all the patches that were released in last patch Tuesday. So I'm going to provide the exact date, which is 11 February 2020. So these are the patches that were released last patch Tuesday. Now you can simply select these patches and install it to all the target computers. You can update the patches based on the severity, or you can automate this complete process by creating an automatic patch deployment task. For that, under deployment, you can create an APD task. Now, this issue is what we discussed twice earlier. How to prevent automatic Windows 10 updates in your network computers. This is quite simple in Desktop Central. Again, under patches, you have disable automatic updates option. So here, when you go down, you can see that you have an option to disable Windows OS upgrade. Simply create a configuration and deploy it to all your target computers. Now here's the last question. How to deploy Office 365 and other critical applications all in one go. So this can be done in either of the two methods. You can either deploy all your critical applications along with the image during deployment, or you can deploy all the applications in one particular configuration. So under software deployment, say I have multiple applications that I want to deploy. Select the application packages and choose either your user or a computer configuration. Provide your configuration name. You can reorder the applications based on your preference of which needs to be installed first. So in one particular configuration, all your applications will be simultaneously installed to your target computers. So with all of this being said and done about Windows 10, let me share my thoughts on this Windows 10 operating system. While many say it has a lot of cons and disadvantages, and they have tried to test their options, which is either migrating the device to Linux or Mac platform. But the market data shows otherwise. As you can see, Windows devices still constitute up to 88% of the global devices. The Mac device market has no significant rise or drop and is around 9%. Likewise, Linux market too remains close to 2% of the devices across the globe. So this fact gives us information that majority of the devices still stick with Windows market. Now regarding Windows 10, It is a dynamic OS with numerous features provided by Microsoft. The cons of Windows 10 can be eliminated by using a simple, user-friendly UEMS tool like Desktop Central. To know in detail about Desktop Central or any of the point products offered, you can download the product free trial version. Or you can even reach out to sign up for a personalized demo session where our support technician will walk through the entire product and answer all your questions and queries. If you'd like to schedule the personalized demo session, do post yes on chat. Our technicians will contact you soon on your preferred date and time. So there's another quick question before we end the session. Did you like this webinar? Instead of a poll, you'll receive a feedback form at the end of the session. Do rate us on a scale of 1 to 5, with 5 being the best. Our next webinar is on 27 February 2020. Now in this session, you will be learning the complete Windows 7 to Windows 10 migration process. And don't forget, you will be receiving a migration guide which will contain the complete details about Windows 7 to Windows 10 migration process. Thank you all for joining us in this session today.